There is a new state attorney in charge tonight.
I am today announcing the suspension of State Attorney Monique Worrell.
Governor Ron DeSantis says Monique Worrell is not doing enough to protect the public from violent offenders. From convicted felons accused of robbing an Amazon driver to a mass shooting suspect with a criminal history as a juvenile to the governor's last straw.
The suspect shot 2 of our officers.
But Worrell says it's not that simple.
I have a newsflash. I don't have the keys to the jail.
And she is not going away quietly.
This local story is getting national attention on so many levels, and we have them all covered for you tonight.
Fox 35's Marlisa Goldsmith is live in the Fox 35 Alert Center. So, Marlisa, it's not really a surprise that the governor removed her from office today.
John, even the state attorney herself says that she knew this was coming. She was elected to her position with more than 66% of the vote and says the governor is overstepping by replacing her with this man, Andrew Bain. Worrell was elected in 2020, but is now officially off the job. The governor citing neglect of duty, saying she was too lenient on criminals, thereby endangering the public. Well, he pointed to incidents of Worrell not asking for the mandatory minimum sentences for gun crimes and drug trafficking and letting repeat offenders back out on the street. But Worrell says this is all political.
Prosecutors do have a certain amount of discretion about which cases to bring and which not. But what this state attorney has done is abuse that discretion and has effectively nullified certain laws in the state of Florida.
This is simply a smokescreen for Ron DeSantis' failing and disastrous presidential campaign. He needed to get back.
Worrell vowed to run for re-election next year, but she says she's now considering legal action against the governor. As the state attorney's office makes its transition, victims of crimes with pending cases are now wondering how this could impact them. Fox 35's Connor Hansen joins us now live from outside the state attorney's office in downtown Orlando. And Connor, you spoke with some of the victims' families tonight.
Marlisa, there are a lot of people out there with loved ones who were victims of homicides, and they're still waiting for justice. They're hoping this transition doesn't delay that justice.
This is what's left. Just remember, it's the victims that matter.
Julia Knight's son, Stephen, was murdered more than 3 years ago. He was stabbed while working on a construction site on the Florida Turnpike.
I wake up every morning since my son died, and I ask myself, who's getting the call today?
Julia told us she was happy to hear Monique Worrell was suspended because she disagreed with Worrell's policies, but she worries about a transition delaying the trial even more.
To other victims' families, you know, they're feeling the same way we're feeling. They're scared, and they're unsure what's going to happen.
Dylan Lyons, a Spectrum News reporter, was one of 3 people killed by the same man earlier this year.
If Dylan's killer was ever able to get the possibility of being on the street, that's just something that cannot happen. And I'm afraid with her and there, it could possibly happen.
His fiancée and mother say they were also pleased with the news of Worrell's suspension. The new acting state attorney has already announced some changes in policy. Defense attorney Whitney Boan tells us that could lead to some delays.
It's going to take some time to look over cases, especially more serious cases would be my guess. So it may possibly cause some delay, especially as there's potential personnel changes.
Whitney Boan, the attorney you just heard from, tells us her advice to victims is to stay in constant contact with the state attorney's office and make sure they know who their prosecutor is so they can stay in the loop. Reporting live in downtown Orlando, Connor Hansen, Fox 35 News.
Connor, thanks so much. We will continue to dive into what this legal limbo all means in our next half hour. You can watch Governor Ron DeSantis and Monique Worrell's press conferences. Just head to our streaming app, Fox Local. Once you get there, you'll automatically be directed to Fox 35 Orlando. If you have Apple TV, Android TV, Fire TV, or maybe Roku, all you have to do is search for the app called Fox Local. We have an entire section dedicated to this battle. In the Alert Center tonight, I'm Marlisa Goldsmith. Back to you.